Are you thinking about querying a literary agent in the year 2026? Well, you are not alone. In fact, I'm actually jumping in the querying trenches myself for this latest project that I'm trying to get traditionally published. And I'm going to spill with you guys all the secrets. I'm going to share everything that I'm doing, the ins and the outs. I'm going to share with you my data-driven approach to querying literary agents. You're going to see what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, and at the end of the day, we're going to see if we can land a book deal. What's up, guys? Dave Jacobson here, best-selling author and book publisher. And in today's video, we're doing something a little bit different. I'm going to start a vlog movie series or video series where I'm going to share with you my exact process for querying literary agents, trying to get my latest YA paranormal romance book actually published the traditional method. So if that sounds good, guys, pull up some popcorn and I'm going to shrink my head and share with you exactly how I'm doing this. So the first thing you can see here, guys, is that I've pulled up this Excel spreadsheet. So I'm a fairly organized person, and what I wanted to do was create a method to track my progress here, right? Or lack thereof, rather. So I created this spreadsheet, and it's got a number of columns. I'm going to share with you exactly the columns that I'm tracking so you can see this and use something similar to this at home. I would definitely recommend doing this, and I'll explain some reasons why in a minute. But before I do that, before I explain exactly what I'm doing and how I'm tracking this, first I wanted to share this with you. This is a great resource called Reedsy.com. You might be familiar with it already, but if you want to build yourself a list like the one that I have in my Excel spreadsheet, I would recommend starting here. So the first thing you want to do is Google literary agents and then your genre, whether it's romance, middle grade, etc., and then add Reedsy.com to the end of it, and you'll see a list like this, right? Once you land on here, you can actually change to if you, let's say you're doing middle grade, you can change the category here to middle grade, and you'll see there are 190 agents that match that criteria. But we're going to go back to romance because that's what I'm doing. We could actually look at thrillers too. I'm doing a thriller paranormal romance. But once you have the list that you're looking for, what I would consider doing, and this is what I've done, is pull the agent's name, the name of the agency. You don't really need the location. It's helpful to know like if they're in the same country as you, but other than that, and then the website. And then you want to do some further research on that specific agent. Make sure they're looking for the type of book that you've written and you think that they're a good fit for you. And then after you do that, then I would recommend this next step. Put it into your Excel spreadsheet, right? And your goal eventually, once you start this process, is to create a spreadsheet similar to this one, right? Because this is going to be how you track all that you're doing with the querying process. So the first column that I created was agent name, right? And this is where I just have a list of agents. And as you can see, I've got 200 agents here on this list. They're not all even accepting queries. Some of them are no longer in the literary agent business. So it's important to know that, you're actually not going to get a full 200, right? It's maybe 50 to 75 good leads here. If I had to estimate, right? Then what I did was I created I created this column here, which I didn't label yet, but it's like, are they ready? Are they ready for submissions? And what I mean by that is some agents are closed to submissions, some aren't, right? And if it says ready, then you can query them. Otherwise, don't bother. Then we have a column here that's called date of submission. And once I submit to the agent, then I'll put the date in here. That way I can track exactly when I submitted to them. And then I have a column called rejected. And if they reject me, as you can see, I've already gotten 3 rejections, which is just par for the course. Then I log it here so I know that, right? And then I have the agency name. In this column, I have the preferred contact method, which is typically either email or query manager, right? Some agents accept queries only by email, some only by query manager. And so you have to follow, what they like, what their preferences are. So I note that here. And then I have a column called email or link. So if they accept queries by email, I put their email here. If they prefer via query manager, then I put the link to the query manager here, right? And by the way, I'm going to as I'm going to share in a minute, you definitely want to take the time to do this, and I'm going to explain why in a moment. The next column is number of pages. So what I mean by this is, what is the sample size they're looking for? Some agents want the first 3 chapters. Some agents want 20 pages. Some agents want the first 5 chapters. So you can note that here. And then I also have a column that says, what are they specifically looking for, that matches what I'm interested in, right? And then detailed submission instructions. So this is where you can say, hey, they're looking for you to put this very specific thing in their in the title of the email, for example, right? But as I promised, I want to explain why it's important to build something out like this, okay? So the first thing is, for the particular project that you're working on, it's very handy to be able to track whether or not you submitted to them and when and if they rejected you, right? That way you don't bother them anymore. Or if I submitted on 2/27 and 3 months pass and I haven't heard anything back, then I can send up a follow-up email, right? That's the first reason you want to build out something like this. But the second reason is, once you take the time to build this list and you have all their email addresses and their query tracker information and all of that stuff that they're looking for specifically, then you can use this in the future. As you might have heard before, or you might have learned through personal experience, it's not always the first book that gets picked up by literary agents, right? It might be your second book or your third book. So having something like this that you can fall back on in the future and come back to and say, hey, I already have all the email addresses, is very handy. So it's very useful to have this going forward, right? So now that I've talked a little bit about that and showed you exactly the tracker that I've built out and how you can do something similarly at home, let me share with you exactly my process for how I'm actually querying agents. Okay, so the first thing you need, obviously, is a query letter and a finished manuscript. I'm not going to talk too much about the manuscript right now, but in this vlog series, probably in my next video, I'm going to go into a deep dive analysis of how to write a polished query letter. And I've actually analyzed over 100 query letters myself and came up with a strategy that I think is potentially going to work. So I want to share that with you, possibly in my next video. If you're interested in this kind of content, by the way, this is a good time to say, please consider subscribing, liking the video, commenting the video, and hit that alert bell so you'll know the next time this particular vlog series comes out. I have a lot of other stuff on this channel, obviously, that is mostly geared towards self-publishing and marketing your books. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, check out the other videos as well. But back to the topic at hand here. How am I using this, right? This tracker, and what does my process look like? Well, once I had that tracker created, what I'm doing now is I'm sending out just a handful of queries at a time. Okay, I started out with 10 queries, and I do not recommend anybody to query 100 agents all at once. And there's 2 main reasons for that. The first reason is, number one, it's going to take 3 to 6 months to a year, probably in most cases, to get a literary agent if you're lucky enough to do it. And to hear back from these people can take up to 3, 4, 5 months, right? So during that time, you are probably going to revisit your manuscript. Maybe you're going to get some beta readers or some alpha readers or some feedback from the querying process itself. Maybe an agent will come back and say, hey, I like this, but I didn't like that. So my point is, you're probably going to be editing and revising your work during this process. And so the last thing you want to do is send out to every single agent possible with your first or second or third draft, whatever you currently are starting the process with, because you're going to have a subsequent draft that is probably stronger in a week, in a month, in a year from now, right? So, people who have queried before know this. Like you'll send out 10 different query letters and you'll notice a typo, right, in your first pages, and you'll want to shoot yourself right in the face. That's why you don't do it all at once. So that's the first reason. The second reason is that as you're doing this, as you're sending out these query letters, you are probably going to get like 1 or 2, eventually, hopefully, manuscript requests. And if you're like me, you actually might have used multiple query letter templates, right? So I highly recommend this, by the way. I sent out 3 different versions of my query letter to those 10 agents. And so when one comes back and it's rejection, I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket and saying, oh, that query letter is the only thing I have. And if a full manuscript request ever does get, sent to me, like if they request my full manuscript, then I've got data suggesting that that specific template is better than the others. And so then I can lean in more aggressively and heavily with that specific query template, right? So that is all to say that I recommend a data-driven approach. What you're trying to do with these first 10 query letters is just collect data points. And if they all come back rejections, then hey, maybe it's time to revise your query letter or take a second look at your first 10 pages, right? So that's the other reason that you don't want to shoot all of the queries out all at the same time, okay? So if that sounds good, guys, hopefully you got some value out of this. Please consider liking, subscribing, and I will see you in the next vlog video.